pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The microphone's on now, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Roll call, please.
Herb Newman,
Here?
Joel Bailey,
Here.
Tanya Block, Mark Spisak,
Here.
Tina Ugrin.
Here.
Okay. Has everybody had a chance to see the board meeting, the previous board meeting's minutes?
Yes,
Do I have a motion for approval?
I will move to approve them.
I will second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none otherwise, it's approved. Madam Directress, can you give us your extensive report, please?
Certainly. We don't have any presentations today. Later, we will be hearing from Dan Rice, but during the director's report, no presentations, and the report stands as written.
Do we have to hear from Dan Rice?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
There was a staircase for Silver Creek. What, there was something in there for, said Silver Creek stairwell fabrication or something.
Oh, the spillway, the dam?
Oh, is that, okay.
Yes.
They called it the staircase fabrication, so it must have been on they call the spillway a staircase?
It was a section that used to be wood timber steps, and now it's becoming metal steps.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I know there's not a lot of hills in Silver Creek.
We gave you it though.
Okay. Would you note that Tanya has arrived late?
Hi, Tanya. No problem.
Now, items removed from the consent agenda. Do we have any? Any items removed?
No.
No.
Nope.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay. All right. No question on any of the items in the consent agenda, so we'll move on. Certainly, there must be some unfinished old business.
Well, we have to accept the consent agenda.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point. Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approved.
Thank you very much.
Now on to the unfinished old business.
No unfinished or new.
The chair recognizes that that was a pathetic review. We're not going to earn our pay if we don't slow down.
Okay.
All right. Correspondence and public remarks.
No correspondence today. And we have Bridget. I don't see Bridget. But we,
Bridget is not able to come today.
okay. Any report, Virginia, from friends? Not today.
No.
But we do have Dan Rice from Ohio and Erie Canalway Coalition. And he annually gives us an update and a presentation. So Dan?
Dan, we're desperate. Come on up.
Go slow.
Hopefully I'm not desperate as well, but, so thank you all very much. Speaking to the microphone.
Charlotte will pick him up if he's just nearby?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm gonna take my mask off if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, super. Well, thank you all very much. Director King and members of the board, Harcourt, thank you so much for the opportunity to come and give you an update, as well as the senior staff. We're really excited because we continue to make progress on the Ohio and Erie Canal and Towpath Trail, as well as the Summit County Trail Plan. And so above me, I usually don't have this done this way, but that's okay.
It's a little different in here.
That's okay, I can see it here, so we're good to go. I will try to get through this as efficiently as possible, but we've been really blessed and fortunate to continue to develop the Summit County Trail Plan. There are actually new trail developments throughout Summit County, and that's what I really want to share with you. But most importantly, your support for the implementation of the Summit County Trail Plan. You see the number of grants that have been given over the past 16 years, actually. It's leveraged over $25 million of local, private, state, and federal investment, and that continues to increase. You see the number of miles that have been built there of trails, 125 miles of planning, and then what I'm really most proud of is, to be honest with you, for every $1 of county investment, we're leveraging $16 of other people's funding. And that's really, I think, unheard of across the state of Ohio. Some of the projects that continue to develop, I think I mentioned last year, the Purpose of the Heritage Trail, that is actually in final design right now, and it is slated for construction in 2024. And I know that might seem far off, but it really, in trail development time, as Nick knows, it's not. It's really like a bat of the eye.
It's not far off to us.
Exactly. And so we are really excited about phase 1 of this trail connection that will connect right there in at Exchange Street in Arlington, right there by Dave's Supermarket. And then we're also will be applying for AMAT's working with the city of Akron on the study for the next section that would actually take it all the way around to connect to Exchange Street and to the Interbelt. We've also been having some really good conversations with the ODOT, because as you all are very familiar, there's been a lot of construction going on in the Interbelt and the Central Business District. You see all these piers rising out of the ground. Believe it or not, the Rubber State Heritage Trail is actually going to go alongside that. And so we have some really good conversations, because the railroad right-of-way actually, if you're familiar where the Summit County Engineer's office is, it goes right by their office. Ironically enough, over the years, again, Lisa and the board is not going to be surprised, it's just been years of encroachment. And so what we've worked out is, while you're there building and making improvements to the highway, because trails are transportation, just please make accommodations for the trail. And they are doing that. So we're really excited about that. The map there you see, that's up there right now. So really we're working on the section, actually, let's see if I can see it here on the screen. We see where it is from Purple all the way to Exchange Street. And then I would say just to the west of I-77. That's really the next phase. It's actually one of our tougher phases, to be honest with you, because of all the construction in the central interchange. The western side is going to be just as challenging, to be honest with you, because there has been a lot of adjacent business owner encroachment, and we don't want to be anti-business, so we might have to be creative with some of the routing. The railroad right-of-way is there, but like I said, it's going to be some compromise there. But then ultimately, the goal is to connect down to Wilbur Road, to the trailhead that you all maintain. That's what the long-term goal is. That's why this connector trail is so important. It connects neighborhoods to the towpath trail, at least 6 different inner-city neighborhoods. It's designed to connect people to local parks, the grocery store, the drugstore, and libraries and schools. And so you don't need it. Actually, there aren't going to be too many parking spaces along this trail, because it's not designed to be a trail that you're going to drive to. It's going to be a trail you're going to use outside of your home or business. So that's the Rivers to the Heritage Trail. The next, I think some progress we've been made. We've been working with Nick and Mark Zermatt on the Silver Creek Trail. And this is, again, a really important 13-mile corridor connecting the communities of Barberton, Norton, Copley, and Fairlawn. And really, through Nick's leadership and Mark, I know we've had some meetings with PPG Industries looking at that important connector trail. Originally, we were looking, again, at possibly utilizing the railroad corridor. But again, as you all are familiar, railroads can be challenging to work with. I'll just leave it at that. But it's my understanding, I was talking with both Mark and Nick, that those conversations with PPG have actually been very fruitful. So I like it when Nick gives a thumbs up sign there. So fingers crossed, because what's really important is going to the west then connects us into Wattsburg, connects us into Medina County, and we actually right now don't have too many connections to the west. And so that's why that's really important. We focus obviously a lot on the north, the south, and to the east, but getting to the west, particularly in this area of Summit County, is really important, because the further north we go in Summit County, you have topography, quite frankly, just is not your friend. So in this particular case, this is why this corridor is a very important corridor. Also working with the city of New Franklin to connect in with the Nivassil Reservoir. They actually were awarded a Summit County Trail Grant to actually do a planning study, and we're continuing to support them in that effort. And then another new project that kind of evolved over the past year, Copley Township. Not really a new project. I would say it's actually gotten more momentum recently. But Copley Township is looking at how might they connect their different assets within their community, their school system, their central business area, their existing parks. And they, as you can see by this slide deck, they have a lot of potential connections. A lot of them are challenging. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to sugarcoat here. They are part of our on-road system, but they're working with the Summit County engineer to see where there is additional road right-of-way to actually extend them to provide for safe walking and bicycling. But then there's also the potential for off-road connectivity as well. And what I'm particularly excited about is that oftentimes, in the larger communities, Greene, Hudson, Cuyahoga Falls, Talmadge, it tends to be a higher priority because they're a larger community. What's really exciting to me is when you see townships who want to make this a priority. And so we've assisted with them with actually putting together a steering committee of local citizens to advocate for it, because that's one of the lessons we've learned over the years, is that you have to have citizen activists. It just can't always be led from the top down. You really have to have people at the local level, the business people, the residents, to make sure their voices are heard. And obviously that's something we've heard a lot with Akron Civic Commons. So I'm going to pause right there. That's really kind of one of the trail projects I highlighted before I kind of dive into the Akron Civic Commons update. But any quick updates on any of those regional connector trails? I mean, I'm just really excited because to see the continued momentum. One thing that's on the horizon, I know Mark Zermatt and I have been talking about this, we'd like to update the Summit County Trail Plan, thinking that it's probably time. And so that might be a project we'd look to in 2022 or 2023. But we just think it's time, every 5 years or so, because there are new projects. Quite honestly, trail lines change, and we want to make sure that we have the most updated trail map. Because what's really exciting is our partners utilize this for their planning, for their transportation, for their recreation, for their health and wellness. And when your trail is actually part of the Summit County Trail Plan, when you actually go to apply for an application for funding, you get extra points. So you score higher because you actually are part of a regional trail plan. So for all those reasons, we think it's important to update the trail plan. I'm trying to stretch as far as I can, Mr. Chairman. So
Well, the problem you have, Dan, is you have too many successes to report on.
oh, well, I don't know about that. That's very kind of you.
And we get lost in all the successes. Don't you have a failure we can deal
Oh,
with?
I got how much time do you have, Mr. Chairman? I got plenty of failures.
Go ahead.
But thank you very much. So speaking of successes, we really cannot fulfill Akron Civic Commons without the incredible leadership and support of some of Metro Parks. Obviously, congratulations on your centennial. I know you're planning for the next centennial. But what a capstone to have the opening of the Salt Lake Nature Center. And so when we really talk about equity in public spaces, that in many ways is the poster child. And so you all should feel very proud of that accomplishment, and really for Lisa's leadership, Nick, Dee. These things don't happen in a vacuum. They happen because of you all, so thank you very much. But the good news is, we're just getting started there. Summit Lake is just warming up. In addition to the great nature center, we've been doing a lot of stewardship programs. Nick has been extremely helpful in brainstorming about how might we not only promote stewardship, but also help actually stop the litter before it comes into the body of water. So whether it's Goodyear Canal or Summit Lake, you and I had a chance I just thought about this now. I actually got a call from Bridgestone because of one of our adopted trail companies. They want to actually see how they can help be a better steward of Taylor Creek, which feeds into the Goodyear Canal and Summit Lake. So it's really by everybody working together to come up with some brainstorm ideas about how might we better steward our waterways and our canals and trails, because it's habitat. And as you all know, I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about this space is that it's in a very urban area. I know, Mike, you've done a lot of research about that. It's absolutely just thriving with wildlife. In fact, I was down there, one of our cleanups, trash retreat, and I was putting the golf cart away. It was about 12 noon, and all of a sudden I looked around, there's this huge buck standing by the storage building. And it looked like his bottom was wet, like he swam across the canal or something. But red fox, deer, kingfishers, all sorts of aquatic habitat. And so the programs we are providing at the Summit Lake Nature Center are really filling the void. One of the other projects we worked on this past summer, speaking of stewardship, was our Summit Lake Ambassador Program. And this is from the Summit Lake Nature Center grand opening. These are Summit Lake youth who are interested in learning more about how they can steward their resources. And so really through Akron Civic Commons, we hope to recruit about a dozen different neighborhood youth. Some of them are ringers, I'll be honest with you. You see the young lady there behind Summit County Councilwoman Sims, is Miss Falconer. She did an amazing job, not Dee, her daughter. Jasmine did an amazing job. And then we also paired it with neighborhood residents who are adults. So we had that cross-generational learning. And so and the idea was we would have at least one adult for every 2 children. Not children, probably youth, is what the range is from 12 to 17. And so they spent the entire summer, painting, staining, doing landscaping, building raised beds, weeding, littering. And we only did it from 9 to 12 because in the afternoons it gets really hot down there. But for many of these youth, it's actually the first job. And, I talked with, our name just escaped me. Jared, thank you. About possibly coming in next year and actually helping, and Lisa, we've also talked about this, maybe providing some career mentoring or counseling. Because a lot of these youth are interested in parts careers, interpretation careers. And so we want to make those connections as much as possible. So Lisa has offered that, and Jerry has as well, and we're definitely going to take you up on that offer. Many of these kids, for 2 of the kids, we had 2 kids last year, we had 9 kids this year. We're looking to have about a dozen kids next year. But we also, again, like to build in that component of having that career counseling. We also recently signed an agreement with Akron Public Schools to provide that connection as well to high school students in the Garfield, Kenmore cluster as well. And then you see Jasmine there painting the tables. It was my understanding, I wasn't there, although my wife Nancy was one of the adult leaders and our daughter was also involved. And although apparently there was a lot of discussion about the design of the picnic tables, which is really cool because there's a sense of pride and ownership, as well as really demonstrating their artistic abilities. And then the GAR Foundation was a major funder in assisting us with this program, so we invited them to come in and actually interview and interact with the students. And for many of these kids, they've never really had an opportunity to interact with, not elected officials, but community leaders like Lisa or the GAR Foundation. And so we literally practiced, introducing ourselves and shaking hands. And we did some role playing. And to me, I think it's really cool because when I was that age, I never had those kind of opportunities. And what the hope is that it inspires them to be more involved in their community. And so we're really grateful to our team leaders and to the GR Foundation and Akron Civic Commons. We also assisted with the summer camps. Again, these are so popular at Summit Lake with the canoeing program with Todd Clark at the community center. He definitely knows this. That all the community centers from around the city are now using Summit Lake for their aquatic programs. And those 4 canoes are so much in high demand that we're actually going to order more canoes. And so we love to partner with some metro parks and nature center. We're actually looking at building a larger building until the North Shore gets developed. I mean, this is kind of like a bridge to kind of help us because Todd Clark, the nature center, organized all the community centers about 6 or 8 around the city, and they want to bring more and more kids. And so really it's a matter of capacity. With COVID, they can only have about 10 kids per camp. But they think going forward, they actually might be able to relax it a little bit. But to me, what's really exciting is that a space that we all know that was avoided, it was neglected and abused, is now becoming a destination. And all along the Ohio Dairy Canal and the Topaz Trail. So speaking of the vision plan, we just signed the contract to do the final design of that. And so we're going to be moving forward with that very soon with city architecture. Really excited about that. We anticipate the design plan process to happen throughout 2022 to be completed, I would say by September 2022, for construction in 2023. The trail component, and again, Nick and Lisa have also been very helpful with that. That design is actually wrapping up now. The goal is to actually have that under contract in the first quarter of 2022 and have a construction in 2022. And I really think that the trail is going to be a game changer. I mean, you see on the slide up there, the bridge to go over to the North Shore. It's going to kind of wind its way around the North Shore. On the North Shore, there's going to be a permanent boat launch ramp, picnic facilities, swings, benches, a canoe and kayak boat share. Many people have canoes and kayaks, but they don't have places to store them. We're going to provide free storage. But the deal is, then your canoe or kayak actually can be borrowed by somebody. Ironically enough, somebody saw something on PBS about Summit Lake, and they were over in the Youngstown area, and they donated 2 kayaks already, so it's already happening. Wow. We have a flotilla of boats, which is pretty cool. So that's where we're at with Summit Lake. Why don't I pause there again, because I know I ran through that relatively quickly. So any questions or about the stewardship or Summit Lake? I know you guys are seeing also just a tremendous amount of success there. A lot of people stopping by. She's shaking her head there. Any questions or feedback?
Telling you, you have too many successes, Dan.
Well-
You're killing us.
Well, okay, so some of the challenges, Mr. Chairman, is that, and not picking on our legal friends, but like the contracts for that design plan, it just, I need to pay better attention to it, because I wish the design process would have gotten started sooner.
No, you need to get rid of the lawyer.
Well, I can't do that, Mr. Chairman, because I want to have a job.
Shakespeare was right.
Okay, all right. But I've learned I've got to do a better job of monitoring, the timing of the contract, because otherwise it can drag on, so I own that. So then lot 3, you all are seeing the latest update. We just had a public meeting in October, and these actually have not been shared with broadly. And also, just to kind of go back actually to Summit Lake just quickly, you all will get an invitation about an announcement coming up next Wednesday about additional funding for Summit Lake. So look for that information. Can't say anything further than that. The mayor's office is going to be having a press conference next Wednesday. Pretty exciting. And by the way, for Summit Lake, then we've actually raised $8 million towards that $10 million goal. So we are just really close to our phase 1 of actually being fully funded. So we're really excited about that. Never thought we would be this close this soon. Lot 3, it's a $10 million goal, and today we've raised $6.6 million. Again, we're working on filling that gap. These are the latest renderings. It's going to be a little bit awkward, so I'm going to come out here actually. So obviously the top is north, the bottom is south, to the right is east, and to the west is to the left. You see Main Street here on your right-hand side, and then you see the Ohio Canal and the Civic Theater is to the top. The idea here is to really invite people to come into Lot 3. They've created what they call a balcony. That's what you see on those the trees there by the Main Street sidewalk area. Then you see the serpentine walkways, which are really formal gardens, using the topography to kind of make it be nice and meandering. The beauty of this design is that there's 17 feet of difference between elevation between Main Street and the canal level. Almost 2 stories. That's a lot. The way this is currently designed is there are a couple places where there are steps, but for the most part, there are no steps. And so the beauty of it is whether you're 8 years old or 80 years old, you don't have to be looking down at the ground and kind of worry where your next step is. You just kind of, almost like the hill behind us here at Goodyear Park, where it's nice and gentle. And the thing about Lot 3 is we don't want to lose the great amenities that the concerts and the festivals and the cultural performances, because that's what really makes Lot 3 successful. The challenge is when those concerts and festivals and cultural events are not happening, there isn't a really good reason to go there, to be honest with you. There isn't a lot of good seating, there isn't a lot of shade, and so the goal here is to really combine those two and turn Lot 3 into a 365-day park. That's what the ultimate goal is. And then selfishly, I'll be perfectly honest with you, with along your Pioneer Canalway, to the north, there's going to be a gateway entrance in the Flats, the Canal Basin Park. To the south, there's going to be a gateway entrance in New Philadelphia. I think Akron and Summit County should have its gateway park. Where do people want to go? If it's Summit Lake, is it Lot 3? Where is that destination that we'd like to greet people to welcome them into our community? The Performance Pavilion, actually I think I've a little rendering of that. You see right there in the center that object in white. You probably noticed that the current, that's called a Performance Pavilion because it really is a Performance Pavilion. The current stage is oriented more towards the building. And so we're actually going to shift where the Performance Pavilion is pointed to actually open it up more to provide for better experiences within Lot 3. And then the ice skating rink will be actually 2 areas, one in front of the Performance Pavilion and then one over closer to the O'Neill's building. These are the different areas that they've kind of described here. You see the balcony, the lawn bowl, and actually we got some really good views of the lawn bowl, which I think will be actually very reminiscent of what we see out this window here, but also probably reminiscent of Blossom Music Center as well. And then we called it the Willow Grove, or kind of gaming grove, and then they're referring to where the Performance Pavilion is Sweet Gum Hill because it'll be a little bit more elevated. In talking with the Maynard Family Foundation, they've actually agreed to have the Performance Pavilion named in honor of Phil Maynard. And so we're actively raising funds right now to recognize Mr. Phil Maynard. Actually, we already raised about $580,000 towards our $1 million goal. This is a view from the balcony, so imagine yourself kind of on Main Street. You've just stopped at the peanut shop. You're going to walk out here and sit in these nice chairs overlooking Lot 3. It'll be shaded. There might be music taking place. This is now from the balcony view looking towards the performance pavilion. Again, you see nice wide open spaces, no obstructed views. This is a view of the balloon garden. Remember those serpentine walkways that's kind of meander through the space? What I really like about this concept and design is, again, the slope here is 4.7%, so it's less than 5% grade. Nice and gentle. And also provides a little bit of intimacy if you think about it. So these are kind of pushed off to the side, but yet there might be an activity in Lot 3, but you can still be away from that and still actually have your own peace and quiet, actually. And then this was actually the view that the mayor really liked a lot. This is the view from the performance pavilion, looking out towards Main Street, out towards that long wall. And again, you can see Main Street up there in the balcony. And then because we oftentimes tend to focus exclusively sometimes just on spring, summer, and fall, we wanted to share a winter photograph. This actually was an earlier rendition, so the performance pavilion slide rendering is not updated, but again, you get a sense of what this could look like in the wintertime. You see ice skating right in front of the performance pavilion, a choir actually performing on the performance pavilion, and then you see ice skating off to the side, almost like a kidney shape, not a traditional square or round, but almost like has some contours to it. And then here's the schedule. I mean, it's actually a pretty aggressive schedule. Like I said, the design most likely will be done in the first quarter of 2022, and then have construction actually start September of 2022. The reason I was kind of pausing there a little bit is because it's still not determined whether it will be a complete construction cycle, 18 to 22 months, or if they'll want to break it up. We obviously know the impact of the Main Street construction. It just really tends to devastate businesses and people don't come downtown. So we want to avoid that to whatever degree we can. So the question is, which season do we impact the least? Is it the winter season or is it the summer season? So kind of to be determined. Owen Studios out of Philadelphia is the architect. They actually designed the Rogers Garden by the Akron Art Museum, so they're very, very well qualified, very talented. And then Answer Advisory is our construction manager. So really great firms and a lot of local firms as well. I'll pause right there again. I tend to talk too much. Any questions about Summit Lake or Lot 3?
Is Summit Lake going to have a cafe in that?
Great question, Commissioner. Yes, because we've heard loud and clear from the neighborhood residents that there is no place to get a cup of coffee, a sandwich, or an ice cream cone. And then even more importantly, what we really like to do, because as you know, value creation, you know, who does this benefit? Is this for somebody coming from behind me or somebody outside the area? Ideally, we'd like to have actually a resident actually run that concession area and benefit from it. And for instance, like Grace Hudson, one of our partners, Marcus Salisbury, a number of neighborhood residents have already raised their hand and said, we'd like to be a part of this. And to the degree we can make that happen, we want to make that happen. I think that'll be, to be honest with you, one of our biggest challenges. Because we've heard comments, you know, already about how this could be the next Portage Lakes, and you know, with all due respect, this is not the Portage Lakes. I mean, these are two neighborhoods, and neighborhoods that don't have a bank, they don't have a drugstore, they don't have a grocery store, and so we're talking about basic services. And I'm not saying you can't have both, but it has to be resident-led first, because otherwise, then then it is displacement. Gentrification, in order to truly have social economic mixing, you have to have gentrification. But if it results in displacement, that's unacceptable. And I think once the trail gets put in, I think the pressures are gonna, because people can see opportunity. We've seen it over 101 miles. I mean, so we know what's gonna happen. So it's a challenge. Those are, Mr. Chairman, those are some of the biggest challenges, to be perfectly frank with you. It's how do we maintain that?
Your day is Thursday for the bacon and eggs.
Yes, sir. Lastly, I just want to close on this. I know I focus really exclusively on Summit County, but just, if I can, just briefly, we opened up a brand new section of the towpath trail down in Tuscarawas County. This is a really important section because it got people off the roadway. Prior to this time, people actually had to use State Route 212 to walk or bicycle. it's not a big section, it's a quarter mile, but from a safety perspective, matter of fact, for 8 years, I couldn't use that word safety because I was afraid I'd get in trouble, but it was a big safety issue. Now, it's absolutely beautiful. In the picture here, you see the county commissioners. In green right there in the center is actually Stark County Commissioner Richard Regular, Mr. Regular's son. We always like to engage him as much as possible, and a number of our partners there. There's some other pictures from the day. It was really kind of interesting. I think it was a July day, and we only did the ribbon cutting down there because the mosquitoes were so bad they literally would carry you away. So we said, come on down, walk down, cut the ribbon, everybody get out of here. We wanted to do the ceremony down there, but it just didn't work out. And then here's a couple other shots. I'm sorry about that. Let me go this way. There you go. I mean, it looks like every other section of Topaz Trail. It's very rural in nature. We talked about railroads. And this was a particularly challenging section, to be honest with you, because there were 5 different private property owners in a quarter mile. And we had to get them all to agree. And one of the private property owners was no bigger than this table. And he has required that privacy fence there, and it's become a subject of controversy now.
We've done it too.
Yeah. And well, I guess I shouldn't say what, I'm being recorded, so I shouldn't say. But thank you very much. I mean, we really couldn't do our work without your support, and we're so proud of the partnership and the collaboration, and to be celebrating with you your centennial year. But thank you so much for your support for the Highway Canal, Akron Civic Commons, and Suffolk County Trails. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Dan, thank you for everything you do to make us all look good. We appreciate it.
Well, that's very kind of you, but it's not me. I have an entire team and our board of directors and our partners, because we're nothing without our partners. So thank
Well,
you.
thank you again.
You're welcome.
And you don't have to leave after all.
Okay.
All right.
Anybody want to follow Dan? I don't think so. Anybody else? Any other public comments?
That's it.
Thank you again, Dan.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right,
Are
we
we
do have
going
a,
into the dreaded executive
we are,
session?
yes.
Okay. Point me toward that section.
Tab 9.
9? You mean the ones I just tore apart?
10. Was it 9? Okay,
Yeah.
10.
My goodness. Okay. Ask for motion of the Board of Park Commissioners, adjourn to executive session to consider appointment, employment, discipline, investigation, promotion, demotion, compensation of a Summit Metro Parks employee, ORC 121.22, etc., the purchase of property for a public purpose pursuant to 121.22, etc., to confer with counsel concerning disputes that are the subject of pending litigation, imminent litigation pursuant to 121.22, and to prepare for discussions with public employees concerning terms and conditions of employment pursuant to 121.22, etc.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call. Excuse me.
Herb Newman,
Yes.
Joel Bailey,
Yes.
Tanya Block,
Yes.
Mark Spisak,
Yes.
Tina Ugrin.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.